Hi there, everyone. I'm Laurie Barraco, and I would love to share some of my top do's and don'ts during this time when Mercury is retrograde. And the planet Mercury is going retrograde November 17th, which is today, and will be retrograde until December 6, 2018. And there are some wonderful tips on what to do at this time because it's not just a stressful time. I know a lot of people are so uh, filled with anxiety and stress when they hear that Mercury's retrograde, and they know that there potentially could be huge roadblocks and challenges for themselves during this time. And there are some things that it's suggested that you do and some things that you don't. And let's see what we can expect at this time if we're prepared and we know mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually what we can do for ourselves. It could be a really beneficial time, and we can work through this smoothly. All right, so I'm going to share some of my top do's and don'ts. First of all, you may find yourself experiencing difficulty with getting projects started, communicating with others, and your electronics may seem to go a little bit crazy. And this usually is because the planet Mercury is either about to go retrograde or it's just finishing up that time period. So about 5 to 6 days before Mercury goes retrograde, we start to feel the energetic cosmic influences. Our electronics may be a little off, things won't download, emails get lost, there may be some miscommunication with others, misunderstanding you. You may be late. The potential for accidents it's on the rise. We usually do have a couple more accidents more than usual, even with traffic, because of this time. Okay, so we can arm ourselves with knowledge, all right, and be prepared. So as I mentioned, it happens for usually about 3 weeks at a time. So many people, myself included, have blamed Mercury for the mishaps when it goes retrograde. And yes, it gets to be the scapegoat for a while. And then I know a lot of people say, well, it's not, they make jokes about Mercury not being retrograde anymore. So then they have to take responsibility for what goes wrong in our lives. But there are some things that do happen. So I'll cover that most certainly. So first of all, as I mentioned, there are do's and don'ts that can help us survive during this time of Mercury retrograde, which can be a potentially challenging time. And there are some really great benefits for ourselves at this time too. First of all, let's talk about what does it mean when Mercury is retrograde. Here goes my communication, so please be patient with me. The planet Mercury rules communication, contracts, paperwork, travel, the mind, thoughts, and ideas, as well as electronics. For about 3 weeks at a time, the planet goes backwards, which can and does cause confusion and a bit of chaos in our lives. When Mercury is retrograde, there are certain areas in our lives that could benefit from taking some time to reflect upon. However, there are also some things that would be best to try to avoid doing. So first, I'm going to start with the things that I suggest that you try not to do at this time. If you can, delay them a little bit. It would be best to try not to sign any important paperwork, contracts. So it helps us to review these things. If you must sign a document, a significant, important document, I would reread it maybe 3 or 4 times, check all the details, fact check, have someone else read it over, a professional or someone that you trust to read it over, who can help catch anything that may be off. I mean, the potential problem is that you might have to redo the contract. I did sign my original lease for the mystical moon in 2007, so that seemed to have worked out really great. Although I did redo it a year later, but that was because we expanded. And some things in some areas, in some situations, the time is of the essence, so we have to kind of sign the paperwork. I don't want people to have a lot of stress or have this time to cause them anxiety if they have to sign paperwork. If you have to, you have to, okay? But if you can avoid it, put it off a little bit, like say December 12th rather than the 6th. It's also A good idea to avoid making important decisions at this time. You may not have all the details. You may have to revisit your decision. Take your time to look over the facts, review. Again, it's a time of redoing, review, reconsider maybe even, okay? So if you can avoid making those important decisions, I suggest you put it off just a little bit to sit with what it is you're contemplating. The next suggestion is to try to wait to buy a car. Contracts, warranties, the car itself. You might have to revisit it, redo it, reconsider. May not be the car for you, because it really is a time for repairing our cars, not necessarily going out and buying a new one. Again, the paperwork, the warranty, the contract may be not the best deal that you can get. You may get a better interest rate if you wait just a little bit. Okay. It's probably not the best time to begin a new relationship, since this is the time of review. Some of our exes may come up and revisit us, where there may need to be some closure or a reminder of why that person is an ex and some patterns that you've had for yourself. Okay. So it's not the time to start a serious relationship. It doesn't mean you can't talk to anybody, but take your time at this time. Like I said, the past is probably going to pop up, maybe even in your memories and your dreams. It's a good time to, again, revisit why they're an ex, what you gained this consciously from that situation, and not just romantic relationships, but business partnerships. If you were thinking about going to business with someone, let's wait a little bit, right? That also falls under the contract part too, and that's a major decision. Might be a good idea to just hold off if you can for a little bit longer. Also, because communication is a little wonky these days, try not to take anything personally at this time. You may overthink things. You may take things to heart when nothing, like you may be completely off base and they did, and there's nothing there to cause you concern, but we may misunderstand and we may misspeak as well. So try not to take things too close to the heart, okay? Now, there are some suggestions that you do at this time, or take advantage of the energy and the frequency. It's a great time to review paperwork, contracts. There may be some really great details that you overlooked on perks, so it's a good time to look over your paperwork. It's a good time also to reflect on your past decisions. What did I learn? What have I gained? Is there a situation that's happening now or taking place now that is similar to something I experienced in the past? How can I bring what I learned in the past to the present? Having backup plans is not a bad idea for travel. You may be delayed. You may find that tardiness is a huge issue for you at this time. So give yourself an extra buffer of time. Also, as I mentioned before, it's a good time to repair your car. Do you need a tune-up? Do you need an oil change? Does it need a good cleaning? Do you need to declutter it? Take care of your car. The car is a really great example and extension of our physical body. So if there's something going on with your car, chances are that there's something happening with the body, and it's a good time to shift into a healthier health physical regime, diet, exercise, sleep, and rest. And that's another thing to review at this time is your health, how you are treating your temple, your body. Are you getting enough sleep? Are you taking vitamins? Or are you drinking too much coffee, too much sugar? What's going on? And your body is telling you. So this is also a really good time to revisit physical hygiene. Also, many people schedule their hair appointments at this time to recolor their hair. It's a redoing of the image. Let's bring in some new life and change some things up. So great time to recolor your hair or get your hair cut. Also, it's suggested that you review your financial situation. How's my money doing? Am I leaking money? Am I paying too much in certain areas? Did I sign contracts that I can have redone? This is a good time to renegotiate, say like your telephone bill, your cable bill, maybe even your rent or mortgage. Good time for that as well. Give yourself and your space a good clearing. It's a wonderful time to smudge, get some cord cuttings, get rid of the clutter to help the chi flow on the outside and the inside. A great cleansing time. Aura baths, use some aura soap. I have a wonderful cord cutting spray that helps cut the cords with unhealthy relationships and situations that help us with that revisit. Also, it's an excellent time to shift and release out of an unhealthy habit. We all know the unhealthy habits that we have, that we participate in, and it's a great time to bring in a healthier lifestyle, mind, body, spirit, and shift out of what no longer serves us or what doesn't serve. So at this time, we can expect, these are possible things, so just keep this in the back of your mind. Miscommunication, you may be misunderstood or you may misinterpret other people's words and intentions. So miscommunication. Electronics can go a little bit crazy. Computers, clocks, telephones, the electronics in your car. So be mindful of that. Batteries sometimes die at this time. Replenishing our batteries, including car batteries too. Not a fun time, is it? So keep some backup batteries around if you can. There may be some anger. You may come across more angrier people who have less patience and are having meltdowns and freakouts constantly. And you could be one of those people too. So tempers flare a bit at this time. Also, there may be more mistakes than usual in your paperwork, in your decisions. Before this video, I was talking for 10 minutes and I didn't hit start. So I had to revisit that. That was my mistake, right? So getting times wrong and so on and so forth. So we may have to have some redo or do-overs at this time. Getting lost, the potential for getting lost or being late, I covered that, so that can happen too. Also, increased amount of accidents take place at this time, so have a backup plan. Also, they're saying to make sure that your phone is charged. Make sure that phone is charged because the battery will drain a little bit more quickly at this time. And as I had mentioned before, people from your past may come back into your life physically, email-wise, dreaming about them, thinking about them. It's a revisit from the past. So as you can see, there are many benefits to the Mercury retrograde cycle. You're being provided the opportunity to stop and review your relationships, finances, and the decisions that you have made. Your life doesn't have to be put on hold when Mercury is retrograde. And sometimes we must sign contracts or have challenging conversations with others that cannot be avoided. My advice is to take your time and think before you speak. Don't take anything personally. Give yourself extra time to get your destinations and have a few backup plans in place just in case. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed my material for this time, Mercury retrograde. And I would love for you to comment afterwards, give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed this material. I have plenty more coming. And please do share the YouTube page. And I will be posting this to Facebook as well. And if you see this on Facebook, please pop on over and follow my YouTube page, Laurie Barraco. And my new website will be launched soon. Probably it may be after Mercury retrograde, we'll see. So that might be the time to do that. See, this is an excellent time to redo my website as well. All right, I'm Laurie Barraco. I look forward to seeing you again all soon. Namaste.